Okay, welcome to this. Wait, what am I doing?
I don't know, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll try again.
Can you play something we can sing along to?
It's a work in progress.
There ain't no names.
Fuck. This is the story of a man from New Zealand and a woman from England stuck in lockdown in the city of London. I think I'll call it Stuck in Here with You.
Nice.
Yeah, good. This is day one in review.
It is. Yeah. Officially in lockdown, but we haven't really been anywhere or done anything for a couple of days before. So, all the pubs and clubs and things were told to stop yesterday, which I guess is the country going into official lockdown. But because we've both got long-term conditions, then we have to self-isolate from Monday.
That's right. We are high risk.
Yeah.
To each other. I honestly think, and I'm not joking around, that the murders will start on day 9.
Yeah, you've said that before.
I know, but they haven't heard that.
Yes, I know.
So day 9. So we're counting down to day 9.
But is that day 9 from Monday or day 9 from yesterday?
Day 9 from yesterday.
Okay.
So this is day 1 in review.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
How'd it go for you?
Well, there weren't any murders, so,
No, there's day 9.
I know, but just because you think they're going to be on day 9, I might do it earlier just to, catch you out.
Oh, well, that will certainly surprise me because
you're banking on day 9.
I'm fixated on day 9. So I guess one of the things I want to talk about is New Zealand because I'm not there.
Yeah.
I really would like to be.
Yeah.
And I did think about it quite a lot earlier in the week. Mostly because work haven't made us work from home. I could work from home, but I can't work from home. And they're saying it's because it's for security reasons.
Security?
Security.
Whose security?
Theirs, I take it, not mine. Otherwise, I wouldn't be going in.
They've not got virtual private networks. Look, I said a technical thing. Have they not got VPN set up for you then?
Well, this is the thing. I think
they could do that, but they just are choosing not to.
Yeah, I think we could work from home, but we're just not allowed to work from home. So it's quite tricky for me having this long-term illness because I looked at the figures around my demographic, and if I catch it, I have a 13% chance of mortality.
Oh, where'd you find that out?
I looked it up.
Oh, okay. I don't want to know.
Yeah, what, you don't want to know what your mortality rate is?
No.
Well, we'll save that for tomorrow's episode. But yeah, 13%. So if I catch it, I basically have a 1 in 10 chance of dying, which is a bit high.
Yeah.
It's high enough for me to be uncomfortable. I think 1 in 100 is pretty uncomfortable. 1 in 10 is knocking on the door.
Yeah.
So, well, it's higher than that, isn't it? It's 13%. So it's like 1 in 9.
Yeah.
Well, 1 in 9 chance of death.
If you were using that as odds to, put a bet on a horse, you'd probably back the horse and be quite hopeful, wouldn't you? But when it's a negative outcome. Are you
backing the virus to kill me?
No. I'm saying, if you're thinking about, people might say, oh, that's, but you've got a 77% chance of living. It's like, yeah, but if it was the other way round, if you were taking a gamble, if you were going to put £10 on a horse, you would look at the odds of 13% and think, yeah, okay, it's worth a punt, isn't it?
I can't believe you're putting £10 on the virus to kill me.
No, that's the thing. I'm not putting £10 on the virus to kill you.
Those returns are so good.
I'm putting £10 on a horse.
Yes, but in this metaphor, the horse is the virus.
Yeah, killing you.
I'm the racetrack.
Yeah.
And you're backing the virus.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good to know I've got your faith. I'm moving the murder day up to day 8. So, I am quite concerned about work. And I'm more concerned, bringing us up to speed. Today is Saturday.
Yep.
In our time. And I was supposed to be at work yesterday. They cancelled that. They cancelled Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
But I am supposed to be at work on Monday.
Yeah, which is, it's a good... I mean, if you do end up going into work, and I'm not entirely convinced that they will keep you working, but by Monday, hopefully the message will have sunk in that only essential workers and people that can't work from home should be going in, and people certainly without any symptoms, but the risk for you of going in is still quite high.
Well, this
from
is
a life and continuing to live it point of view. It's probably better if they do cancel your work on Monday.
well, this is the thing. We are on the essential list, and they've actually messaged me today.
Yeah.
And asked if I can go in tomorrow.
Okay.
So the only reason they'd be asking me to go in tomorrow is if somebody else has pulled out.
Because they're sick.
Well, we're going
Possibly
to assume.
because they're sick.
Because
they're
sick
all over the office and...
Yeah, because they're sick or a family member is sick. But yeah, essentially asking me to go in tomorrow.
Mm.
So that's Sunday. And I don't know what to do because I'm freelance and the government package basically doesn't cover me. So money is a concern. So what trying to figure my way through this is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Because I basically worked it out. I worked out the numbers, and if I do 1 day a week, if I work 1 day a week, I can basically cover my rent without going bankrupt or whatever. But I still have to do 1 day a week. So that would be 1 day a week where I ran the gauntlet of catching the trains and going into the city and going into work. Being in the office with a bunch of other people who knows who they've been in contact with. One of the problems with this virus is that people don't show symptoms for ages. And I'm not entirely convinced that work's taking it seriously enough. We don't have hand sanitizer on tap at work because they couldn't get any. It's all sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's no hand sanitizer. They're encouraging us to wash our hands and stuff, but you have to traipse right around the office to do that. They're saying that cleaners are coming in and hitting the place with surface spray every day. But who knows where people have been in the meantime and who they've had contact with and what they're reinfecting over and over. I don't know what to do. If I work tomorrow and Monday, then theoretically I don't have to work for another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But at the same time I have to run the gauntlet and go in.
Yeah. I suppose the other thing about probabilities is that the longer you leave it, the more people will have become infected or
That's
be
right.
carriers.
Yeah.
So the earlier you can do your days, the better.
Well, yeah, but is it even worth it now? I mean, do you have the figures there, in terms of the mortality rate?
Yeah, I haven't worked it out in percentages. So at the moment, as of 9:00 yesterday morning, which is the latest figures that have been published, I'm assuming they won't publish figures over the weekend.
This is for the UK.
For the UK, there have been 3,983 cases, of which 714 were new cases. So, from the difference between Thursday and Friday's figures was 700 from a total of 3,000, just under 4,000.
And how many people have died?
177.
So this is the thing with Britain, right? They haven't been testing.
No.
That's been the government approach. We just won't test everybody. So they're saying that the actual number of infected people could be well over 60,000.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the reason that they haven't been testing anyone that pops up is because they haven't got enough tests or capacity to process the tests. So they've been prioritising. But actually, I think if people I think they've prioritised wrong in that they've prioritised people who are presenting at hospital and in respiratory distress. Well, they've probably got it, or probably got something that needs to. I mean, I suppose the treatment that they get might be different if they've got COVID. But it's almost like, why test them if you're going to treat them anyway? Do they really need to be tested to find out that it is COVID, or can they just not be? I think, like you say, I think the people that need to be tested are actually the healthcare workers, because people are being taken out of action because they might have it when they don't, and if they've got over it, they can't get back to work. So that's impacting on the capacity of the system.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues around testing and the need for testing and further testing. I mean, the World Health Organization came out and said, test. And yet the UK government's like, I know, and I just think, well, you've got a point.
Yeah.
But also, why don't you just test everybody? So I know they're ramping up testing, but I would like to see a lot more testing. And I know the reason I was talking about New Zealand before is because in the middle of this week, I was very seriously considering going back to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because when I was looking at going to New Zealand only had 7 cases.
Yeah.
7 cases. And I thought, crikey.
That's nothing, is it?
I would much rather be there.
It has jumped up though.
What is it now?
Well, as of today, 1:30 p.m. New Zealand time, it's up to 52. But that includes suspected cases, so people that they think have got it but haven't been tested or confirmed yet.
See, one thing the New Zealand government did really, really well right from the outset was close the borders.
Lockdown.
They locked down before anybody else. They just said, nope, you are not coming down to our beautiful little islands in the bottom of the South Pacific. It's not coming here. But now I'm seeing that number going up, and I'm hearing stories from New Zealand that people just aren't taking self-isolation seriously.
Yeah.
And my worry is that New Zealand's going to shit the bed as hard as anyone if people in New Zealand don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Your dog is nutting off.
Yeah. It'll be all right. Do you want me to go and...
No, I don't. Just kick him. Kick him through the front door. I'm not the biggest fan. Anyway, what? Don't look at me like that. It's your dog.
He's your biggest fan, though.
Yeah, well, it is a confusing situation where there are 3 dogs. They're all your dogs. They're all rescue dogs.
Yeah.
And one of those dogs thinks he is my dog.
Yeah.
So it's quite awkward.
Yeah.
When I tell him he's not my dog. To his face. When I barrel him in the eye. Anyway, back to New Zealand. I wanted to go to New Zealand. I thought, here's an opportunity to go and be in these really isolated islands in the middle of the ocean, far away from this virus. And I think New Zealand's got a real opportunity to basically, get rid of the virus.
Yeah.
And live a relatively normal existence down there in the South Pacific. Like, economically, they're still going to be hit. But they're all going to be able to go to work. They're going to be able to go to school. They're going to be able to, play and hang out and everything else. They've got all the local produce they could ever possibly need. It's only things like that they import, like iPads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to keep your old iPad. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I think as long as they can knock the virus out, they've got a really great opportunity.
Yeah. They just need to wait it out until the vaccine's ready and then re-enter the world once everyone's been vaccinated.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I want you to listen to what I wrote on Facebook the other day, because I just don't think people in New Zealand are taking it seriously enough. So this is the message that I put on Facebook, and this has had over 100 likes, which is pretty big for me because nobody likes me on Facebook. You ready?
Just on Facebook?
Message from London to New Zealand. Number 1, stay the fuck away from each other. Take this seriously. You do not want to end up like it is over here in Europe. If New Zealand can knock the virus off and you can all live normally, you're going to have a huge advantage over the rest of the world. Number 2, don't panic buy. Don't hoard. Just stay away from each other. Point number 3, stay the fuck away from each other. Don't say she'll be right. Don't hang out in bars. Don't let your kids do what they want. Just take this fucking seriously. And then I go on into some background. Can you be bothered?
Go on. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's interesting.
I'm in a high-risk category. I've had to very carefully weigh up my options. I don't want to be in London right now, but the difficulties around travel, the high chance of being stuck in transit, the high chance of being trapped in a cocoon of COVID-19 carriers, nowhere to quarantine myself upon arrival in New Zealand, I've decided to hunker down and ride it out here, which is at your house.
Yep.
Not at my house, at your house.
And why did you pick my house?
Your house has solar panels. All right. I have supplies. I'll be all right. Despite what the government is saying to the media, I think most of us are expecting a full lockdown to come into effect from tomorrow. So I wrote this yesterday.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's pretty much what happened last night. They locked down all the bars and cafes, gyms, everything else.
Yeah.
Hasn't gone as far as, like, having us locked completely in our houses and cops going door to door like they were in Asia. But, you know, could get there. Work is cancelling all over the place. I guess I won't have income, but I also don't have to go outside. Swings and roundabouts. And then I go into a little spiel about being able to work from home. I'm really just fishing for work there, Mary. Just letting the people who know me on Facebook know that I have a laptop.
Yeah.
I can do some work, right. New Zealand, you are so lucky to have the leadership you have right now. They have done a great job. Regardless of your political leanings, they've done everything right. Closing the borders, testing, tracking cases, and the economic stimulus package is the most generous per head of population anywhere in the world. You are in good shape. So don't fuck it up. Stay the fucking fuck away from each other. Love from me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that message is getting across.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, people either think, oh, it's just a cold, which I can kind of understand because that's how it's being described. You know, the symptoms are very similar to a cold, but it's infinitely more transmittable. So, you know, you've got a much more higher likelihood of transmitting it to somebody else, even if you don't have symptoms yourself. And for the vulnerable people, those who have long-term conditions, those who are in their 70s or older.
We're not in our 70s.
We're not in our 70s. It's devastating. You know, it's a significant chance of a trip to hospital just when hospitals are at their capacity. And there is not enough equipment to go around and there are not enough staff to go around. That is going to lead to some very difficult decisions about who gets treated.
Yeah, basically who gets to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to know which of those lists I would be on.
What, whether or not you get treated?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Look at me.
We're in Britain and you're foreign. I'd say your chances of getting any treatment are slim.
While you sit there scratching your muff. Right.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
So
I'm in self-isolation.
So this was the middle of the week. I'm thinking about going to New Zealand. I'm weighing up all my options. I'm talking to all of my New Zealand friends and Australian friends who are in this country. Many of them ditched out. So I had a friend go last Friday. I had a friend go last Sunday. I had another friend go on Tuesday.
Is this your way of telling me the only reason you're here is I'm the only one left?
No, I wouldn't have stayed with any of those people.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't have had me. So but they were
all too smart.
It's nice of you to say that all those Antipodeans are so clever. But they were all ditching out. They were all going to New Zealand. But all through that period, all of last weekend and the early part of last week, I was working. And I thought it was quite important to be working because I've only recently returned from New Zealand.
Yeah. And
a trip to New Zealand, and I was away for a month, is very expensive. That was a long time to not be working. It was a long time to have a massive cash outflow, essentially.
Yeah. And you're still paying your living costs, your rent, your bills and everything here.
Yeah, that's right. So, basically I was having to toss up, around my financial situation. Like, could I go back? Could I afford to go back at this point? And I sort of came to the conclusion that I probably couldn't. Because it's impossible to know how long this is going to go on for. And I need to be realistic about being available to work if I can work.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, if you set off the point at which you set off, then, or you were thinking about setting off, you probably wouldn't have been allowed back for 12 weeks. So it's not just, you go home for a month this time. It would have been you go home for at least 3 months and possibly longer.
Yeah, And the other thing that was starting to come into the equation when I was thinking about this is the path home. You know, so many other countries on the way to New Zealand. New Zealand's on the absolute opposite side of the planet from Britain.
Yeah.
You have to pass through other countries.
Yeah, so that's it. You couldn't go through the States. It means you would have had to fly and have a stop off either in the Middle East or the Far East. And, you know, both of those locations are pretty hot on the distribution of cases.
It's, and getting stuck in transit is just not an option. Like, getting stuck in transit is such a worse option than being stuck here with you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a knife-edge decision.
Yeah, get stuck in Shanghai or Changi in Singapore, or get murdered on day 9.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I get on a plane, and these are the stories that are coming out of New Zealand now, is that the people who have gone back to New Zealand on these last-minute flights have been infected, have gotten infected on the flight.
On the flight, yeah.
And then have gone into quarantine. And there was a really good story on stuff.co.nz the other day, basically case number 37. And that was exactly her story. And she went to great lengths. She wasn't sitting next to anyone. She had a face mask on. And she still got it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really susceptible to this sort of stuff. I've had pneumonia at least twice. I've had Legionnaire's disease. You know, when I was living in New Zealand, I used to get a chest infection twice a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My health has been pretty good the last couple of years, but it just doesn't mean that I'm not still susceptible to these things. Like, my lungs are not good. They just aren't. And, you know, I'm an asthmatic. I'm taking 2 different inhalers every day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. You know, you looked quite rationally at the options and what the chances of getting caught or trapped or sick. And yeah, staying here is probably the best thing to do. But staying here and staying in, that's the thing. You're not just carrying on as normal. We are hunkering down and living off the food cupboards rather than going out and eating out and shopping, as like lots of people seem to still be doing.
Well, this is the thing in New Zealand. A lot of people just aren't taking self-isolation seriously. And I wish they would, because when you look at the little graphs, because this is exponential, you see all these graphs and you see Italy shooting away and you see Spain shooting away. Yeah. And, you know, at the start of
on
this,
exactly the same trajectory as Italy.
But at the start of this week, the UK's like right down low because it didn't have that many cases, but it was on the same trajectory. And now it's catching up. Yeah. Well, now New Zealand, you look at the graph and New Zealand's it's down the bottom. And I don't think people are realistic about how this is exponential.
In 2 weeks' time, they'll be
exactly
same
the same
we
as
are
us.
now. Yeah.
Like, they're like, it's just 50 people, no problem.
But yeah, each of those 50 people have probably given it to at least 3 others.
Yeah, and
that's the thing.
And this is the issue. So they're saying that the numbers double every 3 days.
4 to 5 days they were talking about earlier in the week.
I'm pretty sure they said 3 days yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which again might be part of like the exponential trend of where these numbers are going. But we'll fact check that. Otherwise, someone will fact check us, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
So basically, I decided to stay here with you, not stay at my own house, but to bail and come out here with you because I was living much more centrally in London and you live further out, and because I convinced you to get solar panels on your house just in case we go full apocalypse.
Yeah.
You know, so I decided to come out here. You know, another fun fact people might be interested in, you currently have a cast running from your hip to your ankle. Yep.
I can't get out and about. Well, I mean, that's the other thing. I've because of Brexit, I kept a well-stocked food cupboard.
Your Brexit panic, I'm leaning on it really hard right now.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't panic. I very slowly built up sufficient stuff in the cupboard to mean that I don't have to go food shopping week to week. my monthly grocery shop is a delivery that comes, and you can imagine with 3 dogs, rather a lot of it is dog food, and it's just heavy. And living on my own, and for the last year living with a severe limp from my last leg break, I can't carry it. So I get all the heavy stuff delivered once a month, and once a week get a fruit and veg box delivered. So food wise, we have stopped, when we've had to go out for something else, popped into a Tesco's that we were passing, but we haven't had to go out and buy anything, and we wouldn't have to go out and buy anything for another week or so.
So in order for me to leech off your forward planning, and continued robust use of the online delivery systems that are available, I have said that I'm here to help you because of your broken leg, despite the fact that you don't probably need my help.
Well, you're entertainment. You are entertainment. I couldn't entertain myself quite so much. I probably could. I'd listen to more Radio 4.
So you've got this leg and this cast that literally runs from your foot to your hip.
Yeah.
It is an enormous cast.
Yeah.
That nobody has signed.
No, it is purple though. Purple with pink glitter.
I suppose it does have that going on.
Yeah. Well, last year it was navy, and everyone said it was a bit boring. But navy was practical. I happened to be wearing blue the day that I got it, so I thought, well, I'll go with the colour scheme. It looks a bit like denim, but I thought, no, hopefully this will be the last time I ever have one. So I'll go pink and purple and sparkly.
Do you want to tell people how you stuffed your leg?
No. All started last year. I broke my knee while I was in Greece.
You shattered your patella.
Yes, shattered my patella.
Into 7 pieces.
Yes, it was. Imagine like the whole Greek plate smashing thing. That was my knee.
Except you were in Greece.
Except I was in Greece. Yes, that was a Greek plate smashing thing.
Just trying to fit in.
And had an interesting stay in hospital. And then paid to be medevaced home because my insurance company was shit. Anyway, for the last year I have been slowly recovering from that, but not really, because a couple of weekends ago I was out in the garden taking the bin out, and my good leg went out from under me, slipped on a wet patio stone, and my leg that I broke last year wasn't strong enough to keep me up, so I landed on it again and broke the same patella.
Good timing.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to be in plaster and stuck at home, why not do it during the start of the zombie apocalypse? That is what's coming next, by the way, the zombies. People say it's just like a cold, but they're hiding.
It explains the bull bars on your car.
The bite marks. And why there's no funerals in Italy. I'm just saying.
Oh wow, you are dark today.
Well, that was my contingency situation that I was planning for. I wasn't really planning for an epidemic. I was thinking, what would happen if there was a zombie apocalypse? What would I need? And food and solar panels came up. So there you go.
So on Thursday, I decided that I was going to come and stay with you.
Yeah.
And that I chose willingly to be locked in with you.
Yeah.
For a period of time.
Yeah. I didn't mention zombies before that, did I?
No.
No.
And so here we are. But it wasn't that straightforward because I had all my things at my house.
Yeah.
I had the computers and things I need to be able to work from home, and I had some of my own food that I had stored away, as well as changes of clothes and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
It wasn't enough for me to just throw on a backpack and come over here.
No.
I needed to move a whole bunch of stuff over here. So we came up with a plan.
We did.
So last year, just before you broke your leg,
yep,
I decided that I would buy a car,
yep,
so that I could get my British driver's license.
Yep.
And so I did that, not knowing that that's not how things are done in this country. Because in New Zealand, if you want to get a driver's license, it is a good idea to go out and buy a cheap car
To practice in. Yeah.
and to get on with it. Whereas here, the idea is that you pay someone and you get in their car and you drive around. There are so many driving instructing little one-person businesses here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
No.
And I didn't understand the way car insurance worked here, or road taxes, or all the other terrible tendril ways you guys have of like bilking people out of their money to keep cars on the road. So I haphazardly, and you can argue quite full-heartedly, purchased a vehicle about this time last year.
Yes. Yep.
A 2011 Fiat 500.
Yep.
Which has cost me huge sums of money since being purchased because it has needed so much work.
It hasn't needed so much work. You've had to insure it.
Yeah.
You haven't had to tax it because it's tax exempt.
No, but that was part of the thought process and the decision making that went into that car.
Yep. So you've had to tax it, and you've had to have its MOT done.
Yeah.
And as part of the MOT, we had it serviced because we've not had it serviced so far. And I can't remember how much that cost.
Well, it's because I haven't given you the money back yet, but I think it's in the realms of £500 to £600. And the insurance was £500 to £600, and we just had a bill for another £500 or £600 of insurance.
Yeah.
And the number of times that we've driven the car, 4 times?
No, it's more
in a
than
year.
That.
5 times.
You've driven it maybe 4 or 5 times, but I've once I could drive again because obviously I had my leg implanted last year. I took it out once a month for a run.
For a hoon.
Yeah. Keep it ticking over.
Just to get it sideways around the corners. Because, this car has been living at your house.
Yeah.
And the idea was that you would help me get my British driver's license.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really worked out that way.
No. Because I keep telling you need to have driving lessons.
Yeah. So...
And that's why he bought the car instead of having driving lessons.
Look, we've covered this. We've covered this. Everybody's up to speed with what the situation is now.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have bought the car.
Yeah.
But I now have a car.
You have. And when you pass your test, which won't be long, if you have some lessons, then you'll be away.
Right. So I haven't driven much at all.
No, not in the last lifetime. 6 months.
Not even that. Like years and years and years.
Yeah.
Like the nature of my job, sometimes I have to fly places. I often have to get out. There's often other people that I'm traveling with. Like I have not needed to drive.
Yeah.
I've also been living in cities where there's like robust public transport.
Yep.
I have not needed to drive. So my driving skills are not stupendously wonderful. And so on Thursday, we made the executive decision between the two of us that we would take the car, the Fiat 500, and we would drive from your house to my house, which is about 11 miles.
No, it's not that far. It's 9.6 according to the sat-nav.
That's 9.6 miles. And in the rain...
Yeah, well, mist, yeah.
We would make the run. We would make the run from your place to my place.
Yep. In order to load up the car.
In order to load up the car and bring my stuff back here.
Without involving any other person who might have COVID-19.
That's
or
right.
being in their car that might be covered in snot and excrement and whatever.
Is that what you think of Ubers? They're just full of excrement.
Have you seen? You won't have seen it because you don't do the whole driving thing. But Top Gear a few years ago, they did they bought second-hand cars and did wipes of the steering wheel and the foot pedals, I think, and the seats, and pretty much every type of human thing that comes out of your body. What's that called? Not excrement. The collective name for everything that a body might exude comes out. I don't know, whatever you call it. Yeah, it was pretty grim. Yeah, pretty grim. And while
you're saying that all the cars had that all through them.
The second-hand cars that they bought, yes. So yeah. No, I'm not saying that Ubers are like that at all in any way, shape, or form.
It did seem to be what you were implying just a moment ago.
Well, it just takes a cough or a sneeze, and it'll live on fabric for 8 hours.
Just a cough or a sneeze, and you shit yourself in an Uber.
That's why there's such a shortage of toilet paper, because every time somebody coughs, 100 people shit themselves.
So we made this decision.
Executive decision.
To take the car, even though I can't really drive it. And
But
we
you
were
have your
going.
provisional license and you are covered by insurance.
Oh, yeah,
in case there are any lawyers listening.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm insured, and yeah, I have a learner's license. I have a British learner's license, which, you don't have to do a test to get.
No.
There's no paperwork. You don't have to sit a test to get a learner's like you would in New Zealand. They just give it to you. They're like, oh, you want a learner's? Here you go. Just chuck it at you. They're like, here you go.
Yeah, but you have to have somebody who's got a driving licence in the car with you.
Yeah, that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
But I still can't drive.
Yeah.
So you were with me with your broken leg.
Yep.
And we decided to take the car on this adventure across London in the rain to liberate my possessions and bring them here.
Yep. And it was all going swimmingly.
Oh, yeah, it was going really swimmingly. So what we did is we took the car out.
Yeah.
And to familiarise myself with the process of driving, we drove around the block.
Yes.
For how long?
About 40 minutes. 45 minutes.
Okay. And what was your dad doing while we were doing this?
My dad was watching I think it's called Life 360, which is a thing where you can track where other people's mobile phones are. And my dad's sitting watching me go round and round and round and round and round and round and round the neighbourhood at, up to 30 miles an hour. And he's thinking I'm in my mobility scooter, which has a top speed of about 5 miles an hour. So, yes, that amused me no end this morning.
Doesn't amuse me that you've allowed your father to track you and that he's watching you live.
Well, yeah.
That's quite disconcerting for me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But, British TV's a bit slow at the minute.
So your dad's watching you on a map go around in circles.
Well, if he's not watching that, it would be the COVID stuff on the news. So,
Okay.
I think we get more entertainment value.
Okay. And during this trip around the neighbourhood, we had a good test of my driving ability, didn't we?
We did.
Because we had kids on bikes pull out in front of us.
Yep.
We had another, was it pickup truck, pull right out in front of us?
Van, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had a bus up our ass.
Yep.
We had a woman psycho behind us.
Yeah.
So I stalled at an intersection and was trying to get the car going. And I was watching her in the rear vision mirror lose her cool.
Yeah.
Because we were the two cars on the road in the neighbourhood and she was stuck behind us.
Yeah.
And in her big blue 4x4 thing or whatever she was having a shit fit behind the wheel.
Yeah, because she's so old that she clearly can't remember learning to drive herself.
I would say she was in her 30s.
Yeah, okay. Maybe she's just...
I lost my cool in that moment.
Yeah.
I lost my cool in that moment. And there were a couple of other times...
Because she was being quite aggressive, unnecessarily.
Yeah.
All she needed to do was take a deep breath, count to 30, and we'd have been on the way. But,
You're saying it would take 30 seconds for me to restart the car and get us going again. But there were a couple of other times while we were driving around the neighbourhood where you were gripping the car door quite hard.
Yeah, but in your defence, because, it's you that was driving, that was mainly because my leg was really uncomfortable and I was trying to stop myself slipping further out of the seat.
We then came home.
Yep.
Because we decided we needed to talk about it.
Yep.
About whether or not...
rest.
Yeah, whether or not
let my leg relax.
Yeah, so whether or not I had the ability to get us there.
Yeah.
And whether or not your leg could handle the trip.
Yep.
And we ummed and ahed a little bit longer, and we talked a lot about whether or not they were going to go into full lockdown.
Yep. And what the other options were in case we couldn't go by car.
Yeah. And then we decided to go.
Yeah, we did.
And then what happened?
Well, we got nearly there. We were 2/3 of the way there.
2/3 of the way there. And how was the trip going?
Really well. Yeah, really well.
Do you remember when we drove through all those school children?
We drove around the school children. We drove past the school just as the school was coming out. So obviously we had to be very aware of the fact that children often appear between parked cars and that kind of stuff. So we gave them a nice wide berth.
And how many children did appear between parked cars?
Quite a few, I think.
Yeah, there were quite a few.
Yeah, none of them stepped out into the road. Bless them.
It was a hair-raising time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, with the benefit of hindsight, and if we could turn the clock back, we should have dithered less and set out earlier and avoided more of the schools. But hey ho.
And how many cars got up our asses and tooted their horns?
Only one, two, maybe two.
So maybe Maybe 2 cars.
Yeah, but over the course of 7 miles, that
Yeah.
wasn't bad.
So we got within 2 miles of my house.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Then the car stalled, and it wouldn't restart for love nor money. He had a go, I had a go. Everyone else around us had a go at us.
And where were we?
On a high street.
Yeah,
but
we
I don't
were
know where.
in the middle of the street, weren't we?
Yeah.
And quite busy traffic.
Yeah.
And how patient do you think the other drivers were?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. What I thought was quite interesting with the benefit of hindsight is that when the breakdown truck turned up, we were parked at the side of a road, in a lay-by, and we'd managed to push the car off the road into a car parking space, and
I
steered from the passenger seat and operated the handbrake, and you did the pushing. When you pushed us into the space at the side of the road, we called up for a breakdown truck, who was great, turned up within an hour, can't fault him. He parked across the road in order to load us onto the vehicle, load us onto the back of the breakdown truck, and no bastard tooted or honked at him. So there's just the response to it. It's exactly the same situation. A car broken down in the middle of the road. He was causing more of a blockage than we were because he was twice as wide as us, and yet people kept their cool.
Yeah, people were quite forgiving of the breakdown truck, but they weren't at all forgiving of the 2 nuffies in a Fiat 500 sitting in the middle of the road.
We weren't in the middle of the road. We were in the middle of our lane.
In the middle of the road.
We were only blocking traffic our way, not both lanes.
So, from that point onwards, having not wanted any contact at all with other people in the outside world, you were now sitting in this car. You got in the breakdown truck with the man.
Yeah.
And came home.
Yeah.
Whereas I continued on. So I was standing in the rain for some time.
But the rain can't give you the virus.
No. But being sodden wet and, can you not knit at a time like this? This is a very serious story. You're like, I've said my bit, and now it's your bit, and you're talking, so I'm just going to knit.
No, it helps me relax.
All people are going to hear is you knitting, is the sound of your needles smacking together.
Can you hear me knitting?
I can hear you knitting.
No, you think you can hear me knitting.
I'm bloody watching you knitting. You ignore me.
Go on.
Yeah. Let's hear
you
your
were in
story.
the rain, getting wet.
Eventually I got a bus.
Yeah.
And then was able to get another bus. And then less than a mile from my house anyway, before I had to walk the rest.
Okay. Was it still raining?
Yes, it was. So it was a bit damp bit sodden when I walked in. But, I was able to pack up a few things. And that's when work rang me and cancelled work for Friday, Saturday and Sunday, which I was already quite worried about anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then I ordered an Uber. I was very fortunate, actually, that I didn't get a normal Uber. The guy showed up with a big 4x4.
Cool.
It was cool. Because I was really concerned about the amount of stuff that I was going to have.
You can order like an extra large Uber.
Well, no.
Okay. Well, you can. There are different types of Uber. Have a look. Next time you need an Uber.
Next time I need an Uber in 12 weeks.
You can look and see at the different types. Because I prefer to get, with my leg in plaster, Uber Assists. And they have specially trained drivers who help.
Are you getting paid off?
What?
Are you getting paid off for this?
What do you mean?
For plugging Uber?
Oh, come on. I just said they were covered in excrement and snot. I'm just balancing
Yeah, I feel like they text you in the interim and have offered you a sum of money to change your tune.
No. If you rather than just go for the Uber, which is at the top of the list, further down the list, when I log in anyway, you can get Uber XL, which will take more people. Or you can get a premium, which are, nicer cars. Or you can get, if you go right to the bottom.
You're really in touch with the common people, aren't you?
Only if you need it, there is an Uber Assist option, which is designed for people who are older or vulnerable or have mobility issues, and they help you get in and out of the car.
Good intel.
So, yeah, you could have ordered a bigger Uber, is what is the point of my story.
Yeah, thanks. So anyway, I got a ride back with him. I used hand gel that I had, a tiny little thing of hand gel that I had from the last time I went through an airport when I was coming back from New Zealand. And he asked if he could have some.
Oh, bless him. Did you leave him the bottle?
No, I didn't leave him the bottle.
Oh, you could have left
That's
him
the only bottle I've got. It's this tiny little bottle.
I know, but I've got this.
Okay, that's good to know. So, but you know, and then he said it smelt like gherkin.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it was interesting, but he said it smelt like gherkin, and it was quite the point of conversation.
Did you have a burger while you were out?
It's a hand gel?
Is this your sneaky admission that you actually stopped and, you know, used your hand gel to try and get rid of the smell of the pickles that you've pulled out of your burger because you don't like them? And then tried to cover it up with a hand gel, and the hand gel is now contaminated with pickled gherkin smell.
No.
Okay, all right. That's one theory out the window. Carry on.
So, we got back here. He was very nice.
Yes, he seemed very friendly and happy. He said you gave him a tip. What tip did you give him?
Well, you know, a lot of the Uber drivers, you know, when
I
mention I'm from New Zealand, they want to know about New Zealand. So, you know, I talk about what you can do in New Zealand. And he was quite into, I think, mountain biking and running and motorcycling, and was interested in being able to rent a motorcycle and go around New Zealand. I said, yeah, certainly a possible thing, yeah. So that was basically the end of that conversation.
Okay.
You know, we talked a little bit about the virus situation and, you know, how his income has been curtailed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what the Ubers that took me to and from the hospital during the week were saying. Business has dropped by about 2/3.
Yeah, I think it's probably even more now.
Yeah.
But, you know, managed to get the stuff back here. And then since we've been back here, we've had a few deliveries, just bits and pieces sort of coming in to sort of keep us afloat.
Stuff you've ordered off Amazon so you can work.
Yeah, basically
Stuff
like
I'd ordered before all this kicked off.
Little,
up late.
yeah, little cables and interfaces, and you know, a little desk for the computer so that I can work at it without, you know, building a mighty hunch. It's only a matter of time, I think. But you know, that's kind of where we got to, and then we kind of hunkered down. So that brought us up to Friday.
Yeah.
And Friday was day one. And so this is supposed to be day one in review. We haven't really reviewed day one yet. What did we do?
No. Well, not for us, not a lot changed. I guess the thing that changed for the general public here in the UK is the closure of all the pubs, clubs, restaurants, cafes. I say closure, you're not allowed to sit in. Lots of places are still operating, but as takeaways only, which is good.
But takeaway delivery, isn't it?
Takeaway or delivery, yeah.
Like we got an email yesterday saying that, yes, they'll deliver food to the house, but there's to be no contact anymore. They're only going to leave things on the doorstep.
Yeah, which is fair enough. You know, those guys have got to look after themselves, as you know. And if the way to do that is to, you know, knock and then drop it on the doorstep, that's fine.
Well, I've noticed with a couple of the Amazon delivery guys that they haven't waited. They've rung the bell and run. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I imagine they're busy. I imagine lots of people are ordering stuff off Amazon and, you know, Amazon groceries and so on. Mm. They're probably, you know, doing more business than ever. Plus their own workforce, you know, that people are going to be going off sick or not able to work because of their, you know, children being off school and so on. Probably under time pressure.
So what's the situation with schooling? What's the official word now?
Oh, God, yeah. So
keeping in mind we don't have children.
No.
We have 3 dogs.
Yeah.
Named Cunty, Fuckwit and Arsehole.
But you slipped up there. You said we have 3 dogs. No,
in our enclosure, in this fishbowl, that we are living in, this is our life.
Yeah. We have 3 dogs. What were we talking about? School. So the advice is if you can keep your children off school, to keep them away from school. Schooling is so that's across the board. You cannot send your child in unless you are a key worker, i.e. you work for the NHS or you work in food retail or one of the emergency services, all that kind of stuff. The other group of children that can be sent in if parents are unable to keep them at home, are children with an education and health plan, so what used to be known as the special educational needs statement, and children who are looked after, i.e. some parental responsibility is shared or held by local authorities, i.e. kids in social care, or I can't remember what the other group is. I think that might be it. Key workers, children with a social worker, and those with educational health needs can go in, but parents are, can choose to keep them at home if they want to. If they've got a child with a problem and a child that's relatively normal, then they might struggle to understand why their sibling isn't going, so it might be easier to keep both of them at home. But a place should be available for key worker kids. Like my nephew, my sister-in-law's a paramedic, so he can go to school if there's no one at home to look after him.
So let's run down our day from yesterday, because this is our life now. This is day one in review.
Yeah. I got up, fed the dogs, let them out, tidied up. You slept. I hoovered. You still slept. Shampooed the carpet. You still slept. Did any of that disturb you? Did it permeate the bubble?
So once I got up, once the action started, clearly, we basically just watched TV, didn't we?
I don't think you watched TV. You didn't seem to sit down or you might have been sitting down, but you were sitting down at your computer rather than sitting down at in front of the telly. You weren't relaxed in any way, shape, or form. So
this was the problem yesterday, is that I was trying to buy groceries for my mother and my father back in New Zealand.
Yeah, and they don't live together. It's not that they just need special things each.
No, they are not. They are no longer a couple. So, but they are not. Neither of them is in a financial position where they can plan ahead and put food or anything else in the cupboard for a month in advance. They're just not in that position. So what I was trying to do was transfer money to New Zealand, which I did successfully. Yep. So that was good. And then try to purchase them some groceries. And New Zealand is not quite like the UK in the sense that you guys have Amazon. We don't have that in New Zealand.
Yeah.
You guys
have multiple supermarket chains, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Asda.
You have all these things, but you guys are much more attuned to this whole home delivery lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's so much more normal here. It's not really a thing in New Zealand. Like, you can order things online, but it comes in the post. It's very, very different. And certainly the idea of ordering groceries online is probably only really coming in the last year, I think. Keeping in mind I haven't been in New Zealand for 3 years, but that's certainly my feeling on it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's been available for a longer period of time, but the normalization of it, hasn't occurred until quite recently.
Yeah.
So I was trying to order some groceries for both my parents, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare because going through all of the listings on the supermarket websites, I had to use 2 different supermarket websites because of the nature of where my parents live. For my mother's one, I could only choose delivery. She couldn't go and pick it up.
Because all the pickup slots were gone.
I guess. I don't know. Again, it's not as straightforward as here. It's not as simple. So I had to go through. So many of the goods on the supermarket website were gone. A lot of stuff was unavailable. So I did my best. In the end, I got up to 212 New Zealand dollars worth of stuff. And then when I went to try and pay for it, it wouldn't let me. And then this went on for several hours.
It just said it was busy, didn't it?
Well, yeah, it said they were having technical issues and it was busy and it was overloaded and all the rest of it. And so while I kept refreshing it to try and pay for it, and this, like I say, went on for several hours, the more and more items on my shopping list were becoming unavailable. And while it started at $212, by the time I actually managed to get a payment through, it had come down to $172. So $40 worth of stuff had become, in terms of goods and products, had become unavailable in the time between when I went shopping and when I actually paid for it, which was pretty crazy.
Was.
So yeah, so that's hopefully being delivered next Thursday. It was the earliest it could be delivered. It was next Thursday. So who knows what else might come off that list before then. With my dad's one, he's a bit more rural, and again, I could only choose one supermarket for him.
Did you get him dog food?
No.
Can you edit the order?
I got him cat food.
Why didn't you get him dog food? Because he has dogs.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Okay.
Didn't occur to me. So, but with him it was different. Couldn't get it delivered. He has to go and pick it up. Again, real limits on what's available, but also one of the strangest bits. Lots of the sales in New Zealand are $4 for $5, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the limits they placed on the website where you could only have 2 items. So lots of the items weren't eligible for the sales that they had available.
So it pushed the price up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, by almost double in some cases. So it was all crazy. But, I managed to get him about $100 worth of stuff, which will, I hopefully help them out. Dad's was a bit different. He could pick it up today.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if he can go in, whether or not they gave him everything on the list or not, or what the situation is. It'll be interesting to hear back from him about that. Yeah, so that was a good chunk of the day. We watched a couple of movies. We watched The Host from Korea.
Yeah.
Give us the review, Mary.
3 stars.
3 stars. Out of what?
10.
3 out of 10. It's got 7 out of 10 online.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really sure what was going on with it. It seemed to be very it was very funny in places, and I think intentionally funny. I don't think it was just a cultural misunderstanding. I think they were I think they meant it to be funny. It was funny, very funny in places, but equally it was very sad and quite poignant in places. I mean, I felt it didn't really know what it was trying to do.
You realise this is the same director that just won the Academy Award.
Oh, right. Academy Award for what?
So, would you recommend The Host for people trapped at home right now?
No, but if people are trapped at home right now and they're wanting to watch a Korean film, there's a really good one, and I can't remember whether it's on Netflix or Amazon, but it's on one of those things, called Flu, which is basically about a viral pandemic and how Korea responds to it, which was good. I did enjoy that one. No zombies, though.
And then later on in the evening, we watched one of the American Pie films.
Yeah, it was on ITV2, I think.
Yeah. Which one was it?
Reunion.
So you went to bed before the end of American Pie.
I
Reunion.
watched it upstairs.
Oh, okay. So you actually watched the whole film?
No, I fell asleep before the end.
Yeah. I watched the whole film.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's because we had American Pie for dinner and you were thinking about
That's
going
right.
for a wank.
Well, this is the thing. You made an apple pie.
Subliminal messaging. I think our apple pie came before theirs. I think I've made it before. Yeah.
This is
pretty sure.
Is this not like the 5th American Pie film?
Yeah.
So yeah, their apple pie came first.
No. I mean, in terms of the movie starting or me cooking, I think I started cooking first.
Okay.
And I didn't know it was on. We didn't plan to watch it. We were just channel hopping, and it had just started.
But it was your decision to leave that film on.
Yeah.
And then it was my foolhardy decision to continue to watch it.
Yeah.
And
so what would you give that?
I would give that a stone cold wet bollock out of 10.
Is that 2?
It was awful.
Oh.
It was a terrible movie. Like, I don't know who directed it. I wasn't paying that much attention. But, like, the emphasis on tits was high.
Yeah, but it's an American Pie film.
Well, was there always such an emphasis on tits? It's not how I remember it. Like, I'm not just talking about the fact that you're going to see some boobs.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, okay, we're at a shot in a bar.
I
and the
think
guys
you're
are...
confusing the American Pie with the Giant Ants film, which is the other movie that we
Oh,
watched.
yeah,
And
okay. We'll get to that one in a minute.
That was boobalicious.
So, we're watching American Pie reunion,
Yeah.
and there's a shot where they're sitting at the bar, and the shot's from behind the bar, and the guys are sitting on the left-hand side of the frame, and on the right-hand side of the frame are two women with their boobs hanging out. So the frame starts on the boobs, and then it pans to the guys sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
Like that level, like it was so overt. Like, was that what the original American Pie was like?
Well, they weren't in bars because they were in school.
Maybe. Anyway, I don't recommend it. The story was not compelling in any way. The slapstick wasn't particularly funny. It just wasn't very good.
Oh, okay. All right, review the Giant Ants one.
No, it's your turn now. What was the other? There was the third film we watched. I can't believe how many movies we watched in a single day. I've had a complete blank about this. I couldn't even remember we did this.
Oh, it's on in the background. Did I put it on before you came down? Did you see the start of it?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. It's all a bit of a blur.
Did we watch that in between?
Yeah. So what's it called? Big Giant Ants.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you give Big Giant Ants as your review?
3 again, I think. It was
3. You were going to give Big Giant Ants
on a par
a
with...
steaming turd of a film. the same value as The Host, an excellent monster movie film from Korea. You're giving them both. You're giving them both 3.
Yeah.
Both 3 stars. There's no justification for those two films having the same rating.
Well, there is in my world.
They are. One is so much better than the other. One is so much better than the other. The graphics in Big Giant Ants alone, like you could believe that the monster in The Host was real. You couldn't really.
No, I couldn't. It had 6 legs and it only used 2 of them.
Come on.
What was the point of that?
The animation though was so much better. And the cinematography, the storytelling, the script, the acting.
Yeah, but you worry about things like cinematography. I don't even know what that means. And did I enjoy it? Did I believe it? Did I think it was real? Did
you believe in the Big Giant Ants? You're like, oh yeah, I can see this. You kill an ant and then they come back and they're bigger.
No, that's why it got 3 stars, not any higher. But the same with the pouring formaldehyde. I mean, why would pouring formaldehyde down the sink release a giant thing that looked like a snot? I mean, I've seen things come out my dog's back end that look more scary.
I can't believe you gave those 2 films the same review, the same score. That blows my mind. I thought Big Giant Ants was horrible, like genuinely an affront to cinema. Like. It had some actual big name people in it, or who used to be big name people. It had Tom Arnold, he was in it, and it had Sean Astin. And Sean Astin's wearing the most, I think, like, unbelievable wig.
Yeah.
And I don't mean unbelievable as unbelievable. I mean unbelievable as in you're clearly wearing a wig under a hat. And
the hat's on to keep the wig on.
And the wig's hardly staying on. Like, the wig is doing its best in a really trying circumstance to sort of hang on to Sean Astin's head. But it is just awful.
Yeah, I think we should watch The Goonies today.
Well, maybe we will. But, we know that The Goonies is going to get a 7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But this, Big Giant Ants was bad. Like, it was really not good. And yet, at some point during the production of that film, they clearly tried to embrace the fact that it was a bad movie. And they tried to move it into that sphere of so bad it's good sort of,
jolliness.
Yeah, but it didn't work because they were self-aware. It needed to be bad. It needed to be bad, but them trying to make a good film. It couldn't just be them making a bad movie on purpose. It just didn't work.
Why would anyone?
And you gave it the same review as The Host.
Yeah.
An Academy Award-winning director.
Yeah. Well, everybody has an off day.
Oh, I am dumbfounded.
What did he get? What did he get the award for?
I am so hurt. Okay.
Being a straight white man in a...
He's Korean. That's why it was a big deal. He's Korean. Okay, cool.
Still a he, though.
Okay, so of the 3 films that we watched yesterday,
Yeah.
would you recommend any of them for somebody else out there to watch?
The Flu.
Yeah, we didn't watch that.
Oh, okay. Oh,
You're
I'd recommend you watch The Flu.
No, of the
Don't-
3
don't watch-
movies,
don't
the
watch
3 movies we watched yesterday.
If you enjoyed the American Pie wedding, the original, the wedding, and the whatever one they did in between, then yeah, go for American Pie Reunion. If you didn't enjoy that kind of film, then it's probably not for you. Don't watch it with your parents.
What about people who saw The Fly? Would you recommend they watch Big Giant Ants?
I don't know. I've never seen The Fly.
I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Well, we've got a lot of time, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got all the time in the world, except for right now. We are out of time. We're out of time. This is the end of episode 1.
Tune in tomorrow.
Day 1 in review. Well, actually, but just before we go, can we do a weight check? What do you weigh?
I've absolutely no idea.
Okay. No idea. I'm just writing this down.
Yeah.
My weight is currently 79 kilos.
I didn't need to know that.
You didn't need... Why didn't you need to know?
I don't want to know. It's like telling me how big your dick is.
Well, you don't need to know. So, and on the exercycle yesterday, because we do have an exercycle.
We do?
Yeah. I burnt 98 calories. And we...
Wanking.
No, it went I went 2.4, I think it was, 2.4 kilometers. Well, we're gonna work on that, aren't we? We're gonna work on that over time and get those numbers up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, not the weight one, hopefully.
Well, this is why we're gonna keep a tally.
Yeah.
I actually predict that my weight will go down, but I think
Kids, it's important to exercise.
Well, this is the thing. I think
Get some fresh air.
during this period of being stuck inside,
Learn a skill.
only 2 things are going to happen to people. They're going to get fatter, or they're going to get slimmer. I reckon I'm going to get slimmer.
What, because you're eating properly, not eating junk food.
That's right. Yesterday was a vegetarian day, wasn't it?
It was.
We ate nothing but vegetarian.
Every day's a vegetarian day for me normally, but
Yeah.
because you're not, then, you'll have to...
Yeah. I can't hide my disappointment. I was sad. So anyway.
It's a shame because you've got the leftovers from yesterday for lunch today.
What? Of that vegetarian stuff you made?
The bolognese, yeah.
Oh.
Well, you've got a choice. You've got that or you've got a little tiny kiwi pie. And when I say kiwi pie, it's still vegetarian. But it is a handheld pie.
What's in a kiwi pie? Because I miss New Zealand pies very badly. But if you're offering me now a pie made from a kiwi...
No, it's a pie that's a handheld self-contained unit you can pick up and eat. But it is filled with leek and mushrooms. It doesn't have any steak in it.
Oh, God. You guys make pies so sad.
Well, I bought it before I knew you were coming. It was meant to be for me to eat, and instead of eating it on the day when I was supposed to eat it, we ordered a Chinese.
And weren't we happy?
We were happy.
That's right.
However, it still needs eating. The one thing I cannot abide, particularly in this time, at this time of food shortages, is food waste. So, unless it crawls out of the fridge on its own, you're eating it. Or you can have the quiche that I made earlier in the week.
So it's
also vegetarian. Does contain spinach.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, we can find out if I was sick tomorrow. Also, if I went to work, because I still haven't decided if I'm going to go to work. I need to text my boss back. Make that decision. That's going to be a hard decision for me to make. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of Stuck in Here with You, because I am stuck in here with you.
You make it sound so horrible.
It's on a knife edge. I also played the wrong chords. These are not the chords for the theme song I wrote for us.
If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands.
Oh, stop it.
If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands.
Stop it.
Is that you making that noise?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you think that went?
It was good fun.
Do you think it was good fun for anyone listening?
I don't know. You weren't broadcasting it live, were you?
No.
Okay. How long was that? It felt like forever.
Really did, didn't it?
Yeah. How long was it?
Quite a long time.
Half an hour?
Longer.
45 minutes?
Longer.
An hour?
Longer.
We've been talking for an hour. God, no wonder I'm hungry.
Want to get some food?
Yeah. Quiche or a kiwi pie.
Stop it.
Leftover bolognese.